Hello, friends. This is another episode of the program Empire of Lies, in which we discuss manipulation and disinformation in the Russian media. Zapad 2025 and drones over Europe. Moscow is playing the theatre of war, but they're forcing us to pay for the tickets. Europeans are once again waking up to the beat of someone else's drums. Russia and Belarus have launched the Zapad 2025 exercises, a familiar military spectacle where every tank movement, every missile launch is designed not so much for military observers as for spectators in Warsaw, Berlin and Paris. Everything is built into this play. The hypersonic innovation with the frightening name Nutwood, the symbolic presence of American observers, and the demonstrative alarms on NATO's eastern flank. Moscow is doing what it does best, selling fear. But fear is a commodity that has an intended recipient. Every drone flying over Poland, every accidental bomb shot down by an expensive NATO missile is transformed into a message: your millions versus our pennies. This isn't a military defeat for the West, it's a psychological attack. And this is precisely what the Kremlin hopes to convert into political dividends. Europe is tired. Europe is divided. Europe won't dare. Theatre of the absurd. When sanctions replace trade wars against this backdrop, new ultimatums are heard from Washington. Europe must terminate energy contracts with Russia and simultaneously impose tariffs on China and India. For Moscow, this is a gift. In an instant, the European agenda transforms from how to stop aggression to how to avoid being crushed between Russia and America. Sanctions against the Kremlin dissolve into a tariff war with Beijing, and we once again find ourselves playing the role of bargaining chip. Yes, the Russian economy is suffering, but instead of strategic assertiveness, Europe hears lectures about TikTok and demands to sacrifice its own industrial future. For Moscow, this is the perfect picture. The West is arguing with itself, while the Kremlin calmly displays its Zircon missiles and plays the Suwalki Gap card. Moscow's main goal is Europe's nerve. The Zapad 2025 exercises won't begin with a surprise invasion tomorrow morning. Their goal is to make their neighbours believe that such a thing is possible any day. Drones over Poland aren't meant to destroy, but to test their nerves. The Suwalki Gap isn't a plan of attack, but a metaphor for vulnerability. Moscow operates like a pendulum. One step to the side, one step back, a constant swing. And here the main question arises: will we withstand this swing? Or will we allow ourselves to once again become spectators in someone else's play? This is a warning that, despite the losses and costs Russia is suffering in Ukraine, it must be taken into account. These developments are of particular concern to Latvia and Poland, which border Belarus. They remember what followed similar exercises 4 years ago. This resulted in the deployment of Russian troops in the country and the subsequent attack on Ukraine several months later. In light of the events of recent days, when several Russian drones entered Polish airspace on the night of Tuesday to Wednesday, countries on NATO's eastern flank are particularly concerned about this show of force. NATO spends millions to shoot down cheap Russian drones. Ukraine, which is not a member of the alliance, assures that it can share its experience in countering Russian drones with Western countries. We want to teach our allies how to defend themselves. We have powerful, modern and, most importantly, affordable solutions in Ukraine to counter Russian drones. The most important thing is not to waste time. NATO countries have been put on combat alert. Because of the exercises, Poland closed its border with Belarus and also transferred about 1,000 of its troops there. What Europe should do: 1. Separate war from trade games. Sanctions must remain a tool of pressure on the aggressor, not a pretext for tariff squabbles between the US and China. Europe must maintain independence and transparency in energy policy. 2. Turn cheap drone terror into a pointless strategy. The answer must not be millions of euros per missile, but cheap distributed air defense systems, detection networks, and rapid coordination among allies. 3. Build internal trust. Every panic is a victory for the Kremlin. We need more facts, more open data, and fewer bombastic rhetoric. Society must see not only the threat, but also the effectiveness of defense. 4. Speak with one voice. Moscow is exploiting the fissures. Hungary, Slovakia, France, or Germany. Each special position is being turned into an argument for Russian propaganda. Russia is putting on a show of force, but the real question is not its capabilities, but our resilience. West 2025 isn't a rehearsal for a new war, it's a test of old fears. If Europe falters again, Moscow will reap the ultimate prize, the assurance that we fear our own doubts more than their tanks. Europe must stop being a spectator. It's time to leave the theatre and set the pace ourselves. Otherwise, the next act will no longer be theatre, but a chronicle of defeats. This was the Empire of Lies programme. See you soon.